we come to IP forwarding, right? As we discussed in the previous, this one, that the network layer provides three services: unique addressing. We have seen how addressing works. We've also seen basically how IP service works, and the IP header, how does it work to do, actual, what all the different fields you need in the IP header to ensure that you receive the data properly. So now we'll be talking about forwarding, which is given the path is known, okay? How do you send data from the source to the destination? So we'll take it step by step. My question is this. You are you're basically going somewhere. You don't know how to get there. And you come to an intersection. What do you do?
Ask someone.
Sorry?
Yeah, ask someone for the directions.
You'll ask for directions. Okay, so, my favorite example when I teach MCAs is you are in a university, right? You're new to Hyderabad, and most of the MCAs are new to Hyderabad. So I can use that, example. You are in the university and you want to go to Secunderabad, for example. All right. What is the minimum expected? We expect the minimum thing is how to get to the main gate of the university.
Yes.
Of course, our university is complex enough that people get lost within the university also, but let's not get into that complex thing. We say that you know how to get to the main gate of the university, but from there you don't know how to go, where to go, right? So you ask the person, the security guard, say at the gate, which way should I go? And the guard will basically, tell you go left or right. So you take that path, and how far can you travel without asking anyone else?
Until we reach, we get any turnings.
Until you get an intersection, right?
Okay.
Until you get to a place where there is a branching of this road.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If there is any branch of this road, you don't know whether you have to take that or continue on this road. Okay. So you have to ask somebody whether to, take the branch or continue on this road. So you keep doing this. And forwarding is exactly the same in some sense. Basically, every intersection you can think of as a router. Okay. So the datagram basically is sent. Please remember, we call this hop by hop forwarding or store and forward, right? Which is what we discussed as part of packet switching and all also. But essentially what you do, you go to one place. Basically, in this case, we said we'll go to the main gate, ask a person. The person there is considered to be a router. You go to the next intersection and ask the person there. So the person at the next intersection is the next router. So in some sense, each router is sending you to the next router on the path. Okay. What do they know? They don't know the entire path from university to Secunderabad. They only know you have to take left or right, and that's all they'll tell you. And you basically go to the next router and ask, okay, where should I go? And they'll say, okay, go straight, go left, go right, and so on. Okay. No one really knows the full path. They are forwarding you, however, to the next intersection, sort of it. That's the idea, general idea of forwarding that IP uses. Okay. Now we get into the, some of the basics. So there is something called a routing table in every machine, right?
Yes.
Whether it is a host or a router, you have what is called as a routing or a forwarding table. Okay, they are both used interchangeably, not in professional networking people, but for learners, we can say both are interchangeably used. Okay, so we have here an example basically, right? We have here basically example of a two machines, H1 and H2, which are connected to a common network, which means that they're both in the same local area network, right? And we can see that by the IP address we are giving here, which is 172.16.12.1/24. And here we are giving 172.16.12.2 24-bit mask, right? The interesting thing is whenever we configure an IP address of this sort, it adds a routing table entry immediately for that particular machine. Since we said that the bit mask bits are 24, therefore the mask is 255, 255, 255.0, right? Now, the IP address is this. You do a bitwise AND of this mask with this IP address, the resultant value you store here, which is the destination network. Okay, so we don't store routes to every host. We store routes only to networks, because once you reach that network, you can actually reach any machine in that network. That's the idea. Okay. So these two fields are filled, and because we gave the interface as E0 here, that is the interface which is recorded in the routing table. And we are saying this is a direct connection to me, meaning that I am in this LAN. Okay, I don't have to go to a router to reach this LAN. I am part of this LAN. That's what we mean when we say direct gateway. Okay, so you can see that basically that's what happens in H1 and in H2, both cases, right? Okay, given that it happens that way, now I want to basically ping, right? I want to do a ping operation from H1 to H2. Okay, so ping H2 from H1. All right. Now, when I give the command ping is basically a ICMP message. Okay. Please remember that we said that if it is ICMP data that is being carried, the protocol field in the IP header will be equal to 1. Okay. So you have basically ICMP data, which is given to the IP layer, okay, which means that it gets basically stored into the IP. There is an IP header which is prepended. There has to be a frame header which is prepended. Only then can you transmit data from H1 to H2. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, we have 172.16.12.2, which is coming from the ping command. Is this picture visible quite okay, or is it too small a font?
No, ma'am, it's visible.
It's visible, ma'am.
Okay. So the destination IP address comes from the ping command. So that is filled in the IP header. The question is, there are other fields too, but I'm most interested in these fields. How do I get the source IP address, source MAC address, and the destination MAC address into the various fields so that I can actually forward this data from H1 to H2? They're both in the same local area network. Essentially, it means that you have two people who are in the university, they want to meet, they can simply meet. They don't need to ask anyone how to get to each other. Okay. So That is the question we need to answer. How do I get all these various fields filled? And then I'm ready to transmit the data.